Christ now that their old doctrine was established, which means once you establish a doctrine, you can't go back to the people that you were teaching and tell them, well, we were wrong. So what they tried to do, they tried to integrate the teachings of Christ and the belief in Christ, but keep the old teachings that denied Christ. So they kept the old doctrine, like telling people that baptism is not with water, it's with reading the Bible or looking at the Word. They was teaching that before they knew Christ. Teaching that people be reincarnated and come back every third or fourth generation. So now they integrated that in their new teachings, that Christ was King Solomon at one point in reincarnation, and that Christ was Adam in reincarnation. Exactly. They also teach Nathaniel 7 and all these other variations that there is no hell. But yet Tazadakia and the Israeli Church of God in Jesus Christ now teaches that there is a hell. Of course there's a hell. The Bible speaks of it. But they don't deal with the baptism. The other thing, when we were on the street years ago, I'm talking about early 90s, teaching that we couldn't really compete with the Christian debate when they would bring up Cornelius. Because if you have to accept that Cornelius is a Gentile, then that will totally do away with the hate doctrine of other nations. So you had one of the historians at that time. He was called Chief and High Priest Kazak, and Yeshaya came up with this doctrine showing pictures of old Romans that were black and said that Cornelius was an Israelite. So then that doctrine started permeating amongst those. All right. But then just so I can give you all a nutshell, as things got, as things started growing, of course, enmity, I'm talking about the early 90s, enmity, at that time you had Rawchaa, who was claiming that he was King David. Rawchaa that claimed that he was John the Revelator in Daniel. You had Maishar, who claimed that he was King David. You had everyone is trying to be and that's what this reincarnation doctrine does. It have people sitting but to themselves, asking who was they in a former life. See, these are the things that you all will never be privy to or understand the core doctrine, okay, of what some of these guys believe. Also, they have an understanding that when America is destroyed, that's the same time Christ returns. Okay, so these are all the things doctrinal-wise that are errors. And it doesn't mean these brothers don't have some type of good intention. So it's not a personal attack on any brother. The difference is doctrine. Okay? So, the Star of David thing, all these other doctrines that they had and tried to integrate once they now understood who Christ was, caused a conflict. All right? So that's in a nutshell. Okay? And I tell brothers, and I say it amongst ourselves, I don't mind speaking of the doctrinal side of things, but I will never count any of those brothers out, and I will never go against those brothers or say anything negative against any of them personally, and I know a lot of them personally. Okay? Because you don't know what the Most High is going to do with the brother or a sister, and as long as they have breath in them, they're still the anointed of the Most High, whether we agree or disagree. All right? Time will allow any brother or sister to see an error and come to the knowledge of the truth. So I'm not saying that none of us are no better than anyone else. All right? But it's good for us to know what is the core doctrine, because the true belief is what matters. The true understanding according to the Most High is what matters. All right? So that's enough on that. I hope I answered those questions. Okay. And I'll tell you this. It's a few things I wish they were correct about. I wish they were correct that we could just wait around in America for UFOs to come pick us up. I wish they was correct about that, because I would definitely be in America. There's no doubt about that. All right? But it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It'll be easier to have a base in America and be able to fly to these different countries we go into and just enjoy our life, the only place we call home, in America, and just wait, just do whatever we've been doing, and just wait for some ships to pick us up. But that's not going to happen. America, Babylon, according to the scriptures, will be utterly destroyed, and there will be no man or beast left there when Christ returns. And to tell you the truth, we hope it take longer. You understand? We hope the Most High tarry with the judgment, and we pray that it don't be expedient, and that we all have an opportunity to get things right, and to have an opportunity to, to broaden ourselves beyond America before the end. All right? And that leads us into the lesson. All right? Last week I mentioned that I spoke to the FEMA administration in Kansas City, and we called them back. We called them back last week in Kansas City, and I spoke to a head director of FEMA in the Kansas City area, and he told me last week, which was the 21st, that they were planning a thing called the Big Shakeout. Okay? It was called the Big Shakeout, which was getting clergy on certain levels, schools, and just the normal populace within the city prepared to reenact for a disaster in what they would call the seismic area of the Madrid fault. And he said that, well, I sent the information in the conversation to Brother Santee, so he's going to put it up. But it was quite profound, being in that conversation and seeing what's going on now. He said that the 28th would be a serious, what you would call, shakeout day in preparation for something big in those areas. And FEMA have now prepared for, this is strictly for America right now, have prepared a ration of foods. They petitioned certain companies. Yeah, April 28th. And they petitioned certain companies for a large ration of foods in case of an emergency. And that was yesterday, the 28th. Dried goods, you name it, but it was enough rations to serve 2 meals per day for 7 million people. All right. Also, on top of this, FEMA have ordered hundreds of thousands of body bags for whatever particular reason. Now, this happened the 28th. And now we here at the 29th, and a few minutes before, we wasn't even going to come on tonight, but I wanted to say a few things. FEMA, I'm speaking to the guy, and he's telling me what they're planning and why they're planning it, and he's making it sound like some type of public relations conversation in which I will understand that they are preparing to bury many people. As if I'm supposed to buy into these people caring about the normal populace. So they was talking about Kansas City, the Missouri area. They was speaking of Tennessee. They was speaking about all these different areas, 4 different states. And then the 29th, as someone had placed on the site, an hour before I was about to come on, I'm told that there was a serious, and then I seen it with my own eyes, some of the wreckage. I seen what happened in Alabama. And how, here it is, you have a storm happens right at the same time that the governments are preparing for certain things to happen in certain areas. And Barack Obama and Michelle goes there for a photo op. You understand? And a day after, a certain level of preparation. And I'm not going to say that the government is doing this. I don't know about what the government is doing personally, but I know about what the scriptures say on this particular matter. Also, on top of this, and we're going to go into it, it so happened we put out years ago that everyone should get their passport as soon as possible. Don't think about whether or not you're going to be able to get the money or think of things that's beyond $150 to get a passport. Because it doesn't matter what you prepare. If you can't get up and go wherever you want to go, then it doesn't matter what your preparation is. Your preparation have to be a thought process within a country if you don't have access to get out of the country. So at one point, people would ask me all these different questions, and I would come back and other people would come back and say, well, do you have a passport? And they would say, well, no. Well, if you don't have a passport, there's not much preparation we can tell you outside of getting a passport. Because if you don't get a passport, the other questions are void when it comes to leaving and setting up in another location. Then you have, which I've seen a couple of minutes ago actually, Glenn Beck, who's actually got fired from Fox, finally. He's one of the very few reporters that try to add some level of conspiracy to his spinning. That's what separates him from the rest of the teleprompt readers. You have Glenn Beck, who now came out and showed the difference between the passports we once filled out and the passports they will be asking people to fill out in the future. Now, these passports they're asking people to fill out, you cannot possibly fill out these passports. and not be rejected. They're asking ridiculous questions that have nothing to do with the fact that you just want to take a trip someplace. They're asking how many jobs you've had since you've lived. Where did your mother live, an address and telephone number before, a year before she born you? All these questions, and it's a reason behind these questions. About 6 months ago, we were talking about how they know the Spirit is awakening our people, and our people are seeing there's life and options outside of their plantation country. That people are now going back to their countries according to the scriptures, and because of that, the American system of human resources is being exposed. If you are now in debt to China and these other countries, and your dollar is not worth anything, the only collateral America and the Western powers have for these countries in whom they are in debt is human commodity. And that's the stocks they are trading on the stock market, which is human commodities. It's a number that's given to you at birth to show you that you have a stock number, that you are actually a cattle with a number. So what happens if the cattle decide to want to go astray and do what they want to do, and now America cannot cash in their slaves to those they are indebted? So when people start up and leaving and relocating and falling off the grid, these people are costing America millions and millions of dollars in stock trade. So you have to understand that you are worth more under the guidance of the plantation than you are being free. They'd rather something happen to you in America, because each person that's born in America with that stock number, there's a insurance plan taken out on every American citizen. So that if you die, they cash in an insurance plan that pays in to your slave owners. So this is how this whole thing worked. So now they're setting up a grid that will not allow the slave to start wandering off of the plantation. Okay? Now, if they outright told you that you cannot travel, of course that would be an issue. Everyone would get up in arms and question the freedom that they proclaimed they were given through the American system. They can't do it that way. So what they're doing now is they are putting technicalities and roadblocks in a way to make it so that you'll be too frustrated to think about getting a passport. All right? So, I'm just putting those things out there because these are the things we speak of. And I know that y'all think that some people might think that what we're saying is off the cuff or whatever the case is. But the information is so that you can prepare and do what you need to do with what you have at this point. We're going to go into Nahum. I need you to go to Nahum, the first chapter. And I need you to get Isaiah, the 47th chapter. But I wanted to read this based on the news. The news concerning the passports. Y'all might not think that's a big deal. But you got to see what's going on. You got storms happening. You got earthquakes being planned. You got FEMA setting things up. You have all these things happening at one time. that's going to impede people, that's going to stop or slow the option of giving people alternatives when it comes to where they'll reside. Okay, when you read 2nd Esdras 15, in the 15th verse, the 14th verse, it says, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another." So it's coming to a point where people is going to look to invade others to sustain. "They shall not regard their kings nor princes." So what's coming, government will not be able to control. "And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able." That's scripture. So let alone speak of another country. People will not be able to go to the next city soon with the grids being put in place that's aimed towards ultimately destroying God's people. "For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled. The houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid." Now, why does it say because of their pride? This is speaking of the pride of Babylon. There's no country more proud than the country called America. And they are so proud that they think that the desolation cannot overtake them. They have drunk the Kool-Aid that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama and the rest of these elites who are planning to destroy them have been handing out. They've been drinking it. And they think that the whole world is a problem and America is immune to any level of destruction. And I'll tell you this, and I said it before, America is the least prepared for what's about to happen. Because at least what's going on in these other countries in which you think insurrections are happening, the people are together. So what happens to a country in which all people are fighting against each other and everyone have been compartmentalized and don't care about one another? How much more will happen in a country that's totally divided through every line you can name? It says, "For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." A lack of bread. Linking right into some of the lessons we went in before, showing that the food pool is drying up. The grain is drying up. That we're dealing with the plagues of Egypt all over again. The chapter I was in was 2nd Esdras 15. You can read the whole chapter, but I started at the 15th verse. Of course, it's okay to protect yourself with a gun, but I'll tell you this. No physical sword is going to be able to help you when it's time. The mentality is displacement. The Lord says when you are persecuted in one city, flee into the next. That means be prepared to operate as pilgrims on the earth. And it tells you that when you read 2nd Esdras 15 and you started around the 60, let me see here. When you go to 2nd Esdras, I'm at the 60th chapter, and it tell you in the 69th verse on down, and it links in and tell you be like pilgrims in that day. A pilgrim is someone that have enough to live on their back. Okay? And one thing about guns, guns run out of bullets. You can't eat bullets and you cannot eat guns. Okay, so that it will help you for a time. I need you to go to Nahum, the 1st chapter. Start at the 1st verse.
Nahum chapter 1, verse 1. The burden of Nineveh, the book of the vision of Nahum.
When it says the burden of Nineveh, you can parallel that to America. Nineveh was the city of Babylon. That's what Nineveh was in ancient times. Read.
The book of the vision of Nahum the Elkoshite. The Most High is jealous, and the Most High revengeth. The Most High revengeth and is furious. The Most High will take vengeance on his adversaries, and reserveth wrath for his enemies. The Most High is slow to anger and great in power, and will not at all acquit the wicked. The Most High have his way in the whirlwind.
He have his way in the what?
The Most High have his way in the whirlwind.
He have his way in the whirlwind. The whirlwind is what you would call tornadoes. And look at what just hit Alabama. Angels come in the earth and they touch down. Then they go back into the spiritual realm. So when you see something like that, you're seeing the hand of the Most High himself. Read.
The Most High have his way in the whirlwind, and in the storm.
And in the storm. So the Most High have his way in the storms, which means he'll wait for judgment, but then he'll show himself present. So when you see these things, you understand that it's the hand of the Most High. But no one take heed. That's the world we're in. Now we can just claim things off as natural disaster or Mother Nature or whatever the case is. But in ancient times, in old times, our foreparents knew exactly what was going on when the Most High sent wrath. Now it's so much wrath on a daily basis. It's too much. It's too much to even keep up with now. Read.
And the clouds are the dust of his feet.
And the clouds are the dust of his feet. So when we see those clouds forming, that's the Most High. Read.
Verse 4. He rebuketh the sea, and maketh it dry, and drieth up all the rivers. Bashan languisheth, and Carmel, and the flower of Lebanon languisheth. The mountains quake at him, and the hills melt, and the earth is burnt at his presence, yea, the world and all that dwell therein. Who can stand before his indignation?
Who can stand before his indignation? So when you see those mountains melting and volcanoes erupting, and the other nations used to call it the, you know what I mean, the anger of the gods. That's what they called it. But the Most High is actually proclaiming himself on the earth, and very few are hearing. I need you to go to Isaiah, the one I told you earlier. Not that one. Let me get Isaiah 20, where it talks about the tempest. 28 and 29. Hold Isaiah 47 and go to Isaiah 29. Read it. Read the 6th verse.
Isaiah chapter 29, verse 6. Thou shalt be visited of the Most High of hosts with thunder.
When it says of hosts, the host of heaven are the angels of the Most High. With thunder, go ahead.
And with earthquake.
And with what?
And with earthquake.
And with earthquake. Yes, we know that the government powers have the HARP systems, and we know that they have systems to be able to make earthquakes and weapons of war. But still, you can't sleep on what the Most High is doing. You have to understand these nations know that they would not be able to do these things in the earth if there wasn't a high level of spiritual immorality within the earth so that they can execute their wrath. Satan cannot do anything unless it's okay to some degree. So when they're doing all these things, that's after they have demoralized an area and the Most High is fed up altogether, and he'll turn them over into the hands of Satan. So that's how these things work. Yes, the government is doing what they're doing, but they would not be able to do it if the people in those areas were to come to the Most High. So the nations will flood the earth with pornography, with homosexuality, with all the immoral things in life, and make people believe there's no God. And that gives Satan full power over a particular area. And then they come in and do the things we're seeing. Okay? Now, on top of the things that their machines can't do, the Most High sends angels to do certain things also. All right? And that's what we're reading here. A lot of people would like to blame all these disasters on just man-made technology, when all the technology that we're seeing in this earth today is angel technology. This is not human, or what they would call man's technology. This is angels technology. Okay? That's where Nikola Tesla and all these other scientists get their science, which is magic. They got it from the fallen angels, who were once the hosts of heaven. So it says, thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquakes. Read.
And great noise.
And great noise.
With storm and tempest.
With storm and tempest. Read.
And the flame, of devouring fire.
And the flame of devouring fire. And a lot of those flames of devouring fire will be in the form of nuclear warheads. Angels are in fire. They tell you that in the Apocrypha, that angels are in the fire. All right? So what happened in Alabama, what will happen soon in those areas? The Bible tell you in Revelation 16 that he will send an earthquake that will break Babylon into 3 parts. And John seen that on the Isle of Patmos. Those that are looking to flee to certain islands, that will be a mistake. There's no need for government to put a garrison around an island, because it's a living garrison surrounded by water. So fleeing to the islands and going to the islands is not going to work either. Like we mentioned before, brothers and sisters need to think about what's going on in their particular areas. Get together in your areas and make preparation for worst case scenarios. And don't wait for one person to lead you in a situation that you can come together with in your areas. Let's go to Isaiah 47. Moving into another direction. I said we was going to have a short class tonight, and we are. But then we're going to open this up for questions. I just want to read a few things here, and then we can open it up for questions. Read.
Isaiah chapter 47, verse 13.
Start at the first verse.
Verse 1. Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon.
It's called the virgin daughter of Babylon because this is no longer, or the place we call America, it's not ancient Babylon. That's why it's called the daughter of Babylon. Some people would like to equate this to the Roman Empire. They're sadly mistaken. When it says, some people think that it's just false religion in Rome, and no. That's the ritualistic part of Babylon. Alright? That lady that's sitting in the dust to represent the idol that we call the Statue of Liberty, that was given to America by the French. Sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. And she's called O virgin daughter because it's one of the few countries in the earth that have not been hit by war. No one have ever went on to American soil and overtook it by force. So it's like a lady who have not been touched. Not like these other countries in which America or Babylon have all their bases, who've been infiltrated by Babylon herself. So the Lord is, the Most High is saying, it's time for her to sit in the dust. Read.
Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans.
And it says, daughter of the Chaldeans. When you research the Chaldeans, they were the wise men who gave counsel to the kings. The wise men of the societies. So the Most High is destroying the knowledge and understanding of Babylon's counselors. Read.
O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate.
She's not going to no longer be called tender and delicate. When those planes hit the Twin Towers, even though the government was behind it, that was the end of America the Beautiful as we know it. That was the end of her beauty, and she's been in decline on a high level ever since. Now, in the decline of the country, the powers are now preparing for what they will do with the people who are no more good to the system as far as they're concerned. That's what's going on in the earth right now, which is really aimed towards destroying God's people there, especially Judah. Read.
Verse 2. Take the millstones and grind the mill. Uncover thy locks. Make bare the leg. Uncover the thigh. Pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered. Yea, the shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man.
So the Most High is taking vengeance on America, and he's doing it through natural disasters. You're waiting for a man to come out of the sky to destroy Babylon, when all these disasters is the hand of the Most High. He says, I'm not going to meet you as a man. So why is people waiting for Christ to come back and pick them up and take them someplace? He's visited that place by tearing it down piece by piece, limb from limb, and judging the pride and immorality of America itself. Read.
Verse 4. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name.
As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts, the Lord that's actually bringing this on the people, that's over the angels. That's the God we're following. Read.
The Holy One of Israel.
The Holy One of Israel. So he's not the God of the nations. He's the God of Israel. Read.
Verse 5. Sit thou silent, and get thee into darkness, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called the Lady of Kingdoms.
She shall no longer be called the Lady of Kingdoms. Now tell me that's not America. The kingdom in which all nations look and grasp to for freedom and a beacon of light within the earth. Greater than Rome could have ever imagined herself. Everyone glory and upholds America. And like I said, After traveling around the world, I understand it. There's no place in the world like Babylon the Great. There's no place, there's nothing like her anywhere in the earth. Don't even try to get her any place. It's impossible. It's impossible to have a country in which you can go someplace and it's just warm all the time. And another place if you like the cold weather. Another place if you want to see streams. You can get any delicacy of food anytime you want. You can do anything you want in America opposed to the world. So I can understand how Satan want to hold on to this empire, because he perfected his empire. He took all the mistakes of the empires that preceded it and made America. So it's the glory of the world. There's no other place. Don't even try it. There's no place in Africa that can compare to it. No place in the Caribbean. No place in South America. No place in Europe. And there's no place in the Middle East that compares to America. Okay? And that's why Revelations, the 18th chapter, tell you all nations will bewail her. They will cry for her when they see the smoke of her burning. Because what place is like unto this place? That's what John seen in Revelations 18. And I don't care how much a person claims they hate America. When that thing is gone, everyone will cry. Okay? There's no other place like America on earth. China is nothing compared to America. No other place like America. Because what makes America is not just the location itself. It's the variety of God's people that makes America what it is. It's God's people there. The flavor and spirit of these people is what makes America great. So behind the scenes, outside the witchcraft and all the things that the Luciferians and the powers are doing, God's people are still there with much flavor. So, of course, people are going to bewail America. Nations come to America to take part of America. And part of taking part of that particular country is to be able to have access to our people in America. To congregate with us, to see our lifestyles, the bad, the good, the ugly, the gangs, the rap, the dance, you name it. It's there. Read.
Verse 6. I was wroth with my people.
The Lord says, Ahia says that he was mad with us. Read.
I have polluted my inheritance.
And the Most High allowed us to become polluted. He allowed us to be polluted by the nations. Read.
And given them into thy hand.
And he gave us over to America. So it's nothing that the Edomites or any other nation did so great that allowed us to fall and them to glory. If the Most High would not have taken our courage, there's no way any nation could have done what they did to us. Okay? The Most High did something to us to make us yield. He took our spirit. He took our will to fight. But with total confidence in the power of the Most High, there's no way Edomites or any other ites, for that matter, could have taken us down. Read.
Thou didst show them no mercy.
But while we were in the hand of America, they didn't show us no mercy. The more we cried for peace and equality, they gave us war and bloodshed. The more we cried just to be recognized as a people, they found new ways to enslave us through the jail system. So they plan day and night on our demise. We don't miss that. Because I can tell you this. God's people who are in America are reverenced and respected more outside of America. And that's a shame. Because it's our people that made America great. And it seems we have to go some other place in the world to be recognized as living beings. Read.
Upon the ancient hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke.
That means America have no regard for the elderly. They use them like batteries and throw them away like yesterday's good and have them rot to death someplace in an old folks home with no dignity and honor. That's America. And I don't care what anyone say about these third world countries. Okay? Grandma gonna die in the house with her family. Granddad is gonna die in the house with his family. Read.
Verse 7. And thou saidest, I will be a lady forever.
And she thinks she's going to stand forever. And that's what they're pumping through the media. With these talking teleprompters that you think is real. Just because someone is smiling behind a camera, you think that everything is going to be fine. These people are paid 6 figures to smile behind that camera. Before they say, ready? Okay, we're live. Some of these news people will be some of the miserable people on earth because they know what the news is. But they have to read that garbage. And they paid 6 figures to do it. Read that last part again.
Verse 7. And thou saidest, I will be a lady forever.
And she says, I will be a lady forever. People are going to say, man, America's going to always be here. Why? Because you can't imagine it being gone. What's the earth without it? You look at TV, you can still go to the movies, you can still go out to dinner, you can still live this lavish life. And some people say, listen, if there's no America, I'd rather not live anyway. That's how attached we are to this place. You'd rather die than have a world without that place. And that place I forgot the Most High. Read.
So that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst remember the latter end of it. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures.
So now the Most High say, hear this, thou that are given to pleasures. Read.
That dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else besides me.
And that's what they're saying now. I am, and no one else besides me. So what is America saying? I'm God. I'm the I am. Who can beat us? We have the weapons. We have the manpower. We have the political status. We have the bases in everyone else's territory, but not one base of a foreign country within our territory. We're God. That's what they're saying now. I am. And there's none beside us. And the people start to believe that. Americans start to believe, and they buy into this, and you can't blame them, because when you live a lifestyle of pride for so long, you think it's natural. You don't know how it is to wake up and not have food. Let me tell you, people on welfare are rich compared to a lot of these countries. Getting a welfare check, you're like a millionaire in certain areas of the world. So America don't know what it is to go out and have to take water from a well to bathe someone, and water from a well to cook food, or not knowing whether or not the Most High is going to bless you with crops. America never really experienced it. That's why when this thing hit America, they will be the least prepared for what's about to happen. Because the whole country has been spoiled, from the least all the way to the rich, and to the power structure that everyone is complaining about. I'm gonna tell you. I know there's places in Africa. I know they wish they could just walk there and say, well, listen, I got about 2-3 kids, and I just need a few $100s a month because I don't know what's going on, and I just need some help. Okay, just fill this out, and we're gonna send you a card in the mail, food, whatever, and we think that that's normal. That's not normal. People don't live like that. That's not real. We've been seduced. So now we're more ill prepared to deal with the world breaking down than anyone on earth. It's these people that's used to living in the bushes and in the dirt and living and knowing how to live off the land. They're the ones that's going to be helping us. Because America is going to take everything away from the people at one time. Not only America, the Western world itself. Yes, Zephaniah 2 is talking about America. Read.
Verse 8. Therefore hear now this, thou that art given to pleasures.
Hear this, thou that art given to pleasures.
That dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else besides me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children.
I'm not going to know the loss of children. That's what America thinks. That's what our people think. You have some people, when they seen some of these so-called, what you would call uprisings in the Middle East, say, oh my God, they're panicking over there. Don't believe the hype. Okay? Because those people are together. Those people are together. If they're in the square together, they're together. Wherever they are, they're together. The military is... You're not going to have your military in these countries killing their own people. And if you don't... and think about this. You think that an American or somebody from Europe can get on TV and say that they need to do something to their leader? They need to oust their leader or destroy their leader? What would happen to somebody in America if they came out in the street and said that? So they're more free in speech than the people in the Western world. And they make you think you're free. Go out inside. Go in front of the White House. How dare you? And say you're going to do something to Barack Obama and move him out of his seat, and see how free you are. And these Arabs can do it in this country, and nothing happens to them. So who's really free? It's a mirage. It's a mirage. Read.
Verse 9. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment and in one day.
These two shall come. These two things you can bet, that you can bank on according to the Most High in these scriptures. Read.
The loss of children.
There's going to be a lot of loss of children in that country. The more they dare the Most High and think that nothing can happen to them, you're looking at what's going on in the Middle East and think that the Most High is not going to fulfill this promise right here. And what?
And widowhood.
And what?
And widowhood.
And widowhood. That means America is going to lose a lot of men in war. They will lose a lot of men in war. Read.
They shall come upon thee in their perfection.
And the Most High is perfect when he sends something. Like when the Most High sends something, you don't have to question whether or not it was the Most High. I'm looking at the news and I'm seeing, man, let me tell you, it looked like a bunch of boxes scattered all over the place with matches. The Most High knocked down those houses in Alabama like they were made out of toothpicks. So the angel swooped down and did his bid and just went right back. And no one perceived that it's the Most High. Read.
Verse 9. But these two things shall come to thee in a moment and in one day. The loss of children and widowhood.
Go ahead.
They shall come upon thee in their perfection.
It says they shall come unto thee in their perfection.
For the multitude of thy sorceries.
And the Most High is telling them why. Because America has become a land of straight sorcerers. Everyone is dealing with some level of sorcery, whether they're on drugs. The word drugs come from the word pharmacy. Pharmacy come from the word sorcerer. The whole country is almost on drugs. Be it smoking marijuana, be it cocaine, be it on some type of prescribed drugs to make you feel a certain type of way, or to stop depression. The whole world is, the whole America is on drugs almost. It's pharmacy. It's sorcery. And because this country have depended on the sorcery, you got people going to other people to find out whether or not they're going to make money in the future, or tell me your future, getting your palms read, going to people and seers, knowing that these people are dealing with familiar spirits. That's natural in America. To go someplace and have your horoscope read. Oh, let me get your newspaper. Let me see what it say for Scorpio. Let me see what's going to happen. This is natural for a country to be operating, and they think that this is normal. It's not normal. This country depends on sorcery and witchcraft. That's what keeps this system going. And while you're doing this, now the hedge is being taken from over us and given Satan open game against God's people. All right? Witchcraft and voodoo and sorcery. Going to Catholic churches. Dealing with straight sorcery. Sun worship. Worshiping the goddess Astar. That's what the Lord says. How he is talking about us trusting in our sorcery. Read.
And for the great abundance of thine enchantments.
And because you don't do anything but witchcraft and enchantments, what did the Most High say he'll bring?
For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness.
And says this country trusts in that. That's why they deal with their numerology. They do things on certain dates. They deal with Kabbalah teachings. They trust their sorcery and magic. Read.
Thou hast said, none seeth me.
And they claim no one seeth it. Go ahead.
Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it hath perverted thee.
The wisdom and knowledge have perverted that country. Read.
And thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me.
So now they're saying that they the Most High, and no one else is besides them. Why? Because they think because they got a little technology, and that they done dumbed down the whole world, that no one sees what they're doing. Read.
Verse 11. Therefore shall evil come upon thee. Thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee. Thou shalt not be able to thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now in thy enchantments.
So now the Most High says, okay, stand in your witchcraft. Read.
And with the multitude of thy sorcery.
And with your sorcery.
Wherein thou hast labored from thy youth.
And it says labored from your youth because the Masons started the country on witchcraft. So since America was born, from its inception, it was made off of its sorcery because the so-called founding fathers were occult sorcerers. Read.
If so be, thou shalt be able to profit. If so be, thou mayest prevail. Verse 13. Thou art weary in the multitude of thy counsels. Let now the astrologers.
So let's now see what the astrologers is going to do to help you.
The stargazers.
The stargazers, those that are looking out with their telescopes and telling you about what comet is coming. Let's see how they're going to help you.
The monthly prognosticators.
The monthly prognosticators, those that can give you some insight on what will happen to you in a month from one sign to the next. Let's see if your monthly procrastinators that are dealing with the horoscopes will help you. Let's see if they foresee the total destruction of Babylon. Read.
Stand up, and save thee from these things.
Let's see if they will save you. Let's see what palm reader you will go to when these things hit. That's what the Most High is saying. Let's see what sorcerer can put these things off. Read.
That shall come upon thee. Behold, they shall be as stubble. The fire shall burn them. They shall not deliver themselves from the power of the flame. There shall not be a coal to warm at, nor a fire to sit before it. Thus shalt thou be unto thee, with whom thou hast labored, even thy merchants from thy youth. They shall wander every one to his quarter, none shall save thee.
Everyone shall start wandering to their own quarter. That means when people start seeing the decline of Babylon, they will begin to go back into their own countries like a lot of these merchants are doing now. They're cashing in and they're going back home. I'm going to show you how diabolical America is. They're trying to trap our people in a process that will ultimately destroy the people. They're trying to keep people in America. They're not trying to let people out. They get these, what you would call, these so-called right-wing groups to complain about their jobs and how the Mexicans are coming over the border so that they can inbred fight the Mexicans against certain right-wing groups and black people. They make you think that Mexicans are trying to take jobs. And I don't know anyone out there that's trying to pick peas and pick blueberries. So what jobs are they taking? On top of this, we found out, because we got brothers that are over in Mexico, we found out that the majority of Mexicans are trying to leave America because there's no jobs there. And they're trying to go back to Mexico, and the American borders are actually stopping the Mexicans from going back home. Why this is not being publicized on CNN or Fox? That you have Mexicans who are trying to go back home or that are being stopped at the border. Why? Because they don't want these Mexicans to escape what's coming to those areas, especially in the California area. So this is the world we live in. It's coming. And the only thing we can do is pray for each other and hope that the Most High bring us together when it's time. As I've spoken before, soon there will not be access like it is right now online, and there will be no communication. And the only spirit that will allow us to come together is the Spirit of the Most High that bring us together when it's time. Someone asked, what about the Native Americans whose homeland is America? Where should they go? Their homeland is not America. Okay? 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter and the 39th verse tells us how, 39th verse on down tells us how the North American Indians, along with the other tribes or aborigines of North, Central, and South America and the South Pacific, got into the land. They went into the North America and South America and to those areas after 721 BC, after the Northern Kingdom was taken down by the Assyrians. And they took them a year and a half to get over to America, where no mankind dwelt. So they're going to have to realize America is not their home. Okay? They're on reservations. They're living on a concentration camp. So no sooner as they start realizing they're slaves and they're not free and that's not their land, the sooner they can start thinking about Zion. But the Most High is putting it on a lot of the wise men of the Gadites. The Spirit is coming to them, and they know that, you know, what's coming to America, and it's in Hopi prophecy. The Hopi Indian, which are North American Indians, or from the tribe of Gad. In their prophecies, they knew it would come a time where America will get dealt with and they would start making their way back. It's in Hopi prophecy. The tribe of Dan going to be utterly destroyed. And soon we'll be going into the lessons on Dan. Y'all just hold tight. Well, someone says, well, I was trying to tell someone of this and they told me I was a lie and the world would end for another 20 billion years. The Lord says, avoid foolishness. And that's total foolishness. I can't even get my mind around that. Someone asks, why is the Old Testament written in Hebrew and the New Testament in Greek? The reason is because when it was time to translate, you had the Old Testament in the Septuagint side, which was the Greek translation of the Old Testament. So that was intact, and those 14 books out of the Apocrypha came from the Greek that was translated out of the Septuagint. The New Testament, when King James went and brought the scholars together to do the translation, they could not find all the Hebrew fragments in the translation for the New Testament. Don't forget, you had a lot of Greek and Roman influence, even amongst our people during the time of Christ. And what happened, the scribes were scribing in Hebrew as well as Greek, okay, to teach the brothers and sisters who were Hellenists. So when King James came on the scene, they could find more records that were intact, newly records that was Greek, than the incomplete Hebrew fragment. So they just agreed all together to go with the Greek for the New Testament. If you have any questions on baptism or whatever, you can send those and we'll make sure someone get with you as soon as possible. Again, I don't check the email, all of it myself. I try to a little bit here or there. But if you send a mail, someone will get to you. Whether we got to route you to somebody in your area, someone to get to you. Especially Brother Gabar, who's doing a great job there from New York. You got Brother Ramar. You got many brothers. You got Brother Dell. All these brothers. So there's some people who can get with you in the meantime. Should we prophesy to the Native Americans? Absolutely. With that, we went over our hour. I don't know why I say it's going to be an hour. We get into it and the Spirit take it to where it need to go. And we're going to ask you all to pray for us because prayer is needed. And we'll pray for you. And you'll all stay strong. Someone asked, can they get the prayer? Send that to the email and someone will send it to you. Shalom.
Shalom.